Dad Bod History.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's
do it. Let's do this. All right. Welcome everybody to this episode of Dad Bod History. We are doing another best movies of the 90s this time. So last month for Dad Bod After Dark, we did best movies of the 80s. This time we're doing best movies of the 90s. And we have a couple of extra guests for us tonight. First off is Randy, who is just a super fan for Dad Bod History, and he gently asked Cameron and I if he could come on, and so we happily invited him.
You know, that's not the story I heard in private text messages.
That's the story that I'm putting out there.
Strong arm, withholding paychecks, that kind of stuff is what I heard.
Yeah, my job is at stake.
The trick is, if you want something bad enough, you ask about it 3 times a day for 2 or 3 months until it happens for you. You know, I just spoke it into existence. So I'm really happy to be here. I am a huge fan. So I'm excited. It's like Christmas morning.
Thanks, Randy. We're happy to have you on. And I think for this episode specifically, I think it's right up your wheelhouse. So I think it's going to be really fun to get your take on this. And then our other guest tonight is Terrance. We've had him on before, and Terrance is the owner, content creator, producer, star of Capitance TV. Terrance, how you doing, man?
I'm good. And in contrast to Randy, I was begged to come on here, and I was just like, maybe I'll come on. No.
We're going to take all that sponsorship money to pay Terrance.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. No, I had a great time last time, and I was happy to come back this time.
It's so funny because Terrance and my wife were friends from college, and my wife the other day goes, so is Terrance going to be on your show? I'm like, that's news to me. I had no idea. So apparently, Eric, you asked him to come on, and Terrance, we're happy to have you on. It's going to be fun.
Good time.
And then, as always, we have Eric, Jeff, and Cameron on. And before we get rolling on the 90s movie night, let's you guys have any stories over the week? Any stories from the dad front, so to speak?
I just feel like I'm in a race against time. For the weather is about to turn any day now in Phoenix. It was actually cold today, probably 60 degrees. And I just feel like I'm running out of time before it gets super hot. So every day it's kids, let's go outside. Kids, let's go to the park. Let's go on a hike. Everything that we're trying to do is outside. And it's a great time of year because our TV hasn't been on hardly at all, except for me doing research for this show.
And really, that's the only reason you should need the TV on, is to research for this episode.
Exactly.
So that's good. Eric, anything for you?
Yeah, so my son, he had his birthday last week. And for Christmas, so kind of a lead-in for Christmas, my parents got him this little helicopter drone. So on Christmas Day, we took it outside, flew it. Within 10 minutes, it had gone over a house. It was gone, disappeared.
Oh, no.
So for my son's birthday, they sent him the same thing. And I'm like, we're doing this differently. So after school this week, I charged it in my classroom all day, and then we took it out to the field and flew it around. And then we took it to the gym, flew it around in there. And now he's gotten so good, he's flying it around in the house. And it's just a ton of fun. It's like, obviously we didn't learn. Well, we learned from the first time, but now he's flying it, 3 different objects in the house. And it's just a ton of fun. So that's kind of a highlight.
Really excited about that.
So as the oldest dad on the Dad Bod podcast, my stories are a little different from yours. My oldest daughter is going to Mexico to do a photo shoot for a wedding. My son is coming back after a 5-month deployment on the USS Georgia. So he'll be back in the States here pretty soon. We're happy about that. And my youngest child is pregnant. So there's a lot going on.
What?
But yeah,
That's awesome.
Wow.
No one's flying helicopters or throwing fits over candy at my house. Those days are long gone. So enjoy that stuff.
Well, your son doesn't have to play with the toys anymore. He gets to play with the big stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, actual nuclear submarines.
And there is a Dad Bod History magnet on the side of the Georgia, correct?
Yeah.
There will be soon. I couldn't ship it to him while he was out and about. There's
Spreading
one
our
on my
diplomacy.
truck and there's one on the fridge. I will get one to Jack soon, along with the T-shirt. I don't know if it's too soon to mention swag, but
absolutely
yeah,
not too early. Bonfire.com/dadbodhistory and get some swag. Now, I guess it'll all ship at the end of March once all the orders come in. That's kind of how it goes. But we've got swag.
Each shirt is handmade by an old Dutch woman on a mountaintop, right?
She's blind, but yes. And a nun,
okay.
but yes.
So it's quality. Nothing but the best here.
Do the Dutch have many mountains?
Well, they got the one for shirt making. That's it.
No, it's a sweatshop. It's a sweatshop called the Mountaintop.
So
what's the thread count on that shirt?
2.
6 threads.
It's the good number.
Yeah.
It's a potato sack. And
all right. Well, this is going to end up being an extremely long episode, but Terrance or Randy, do you have anything that hit you from this week?
Go for it, Randy.
No, quick story. I retired as a baseball coach, but now I'm coaching 8-year-old girls softball. So
even better.
Our goal clearly is to be the toughest team in the league. This is a literal goal that the girls have agreed on. And so we talked about at practice Thursday, the saying that we told our baseball team: anytime the ball hits you, you don't cry, you don't fall down, you yell, "We got ice." And that's the statement to say it's no big deal. We're not hurt. We've got ice. So flash forward to Saturday. I'm pitching beautifully, if I might add. I can still get hit hard by 8-year-old girls or college players. I'm consistent as getting hit very hard as I'm pitching. Throw the ball underhand to one of our girls, Bella, who swings, hits the ball comes out and hits her in the helmet. Fortunately, not in the face, but in the side of the helmet. Foul ball at the side of the helmet. She immediately looks at me and says, "We've got ice."
That's awesome.
The other coaches are running towards Bella to see if she's okay. They kind of stop and wonder what's going on. Our dugout's yelling, "We've got ice, we've got ice." So clearly we're going to run away with this league title. I mean, these other girls don't stand a chance. So,
and that's what it's about.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's great.
It's all about championships when you're 8.
Yeah.
Especially leagues with no umpires.
That's good. How about you, Terrance?
Not really. I think I'm the only one here without a kid yet. So it's always my life.
I like
is a little
that.
different.
Yeah, that's a growth mindset.
Yeah. So my wife's whittling me down, so it's going to be any day now. But my ordeal was we just moved like across the country, and so getting a couch is a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I thought, okay, I'll walk into a store, get a couch, and they'll show up that day. Nope. 6 to 8 weeks later, trying to get a couch, and but luckily, like through Wayfair, like so it'll be a month, and then it showed up miraculously today, and so we put it together, like got it in the house and everything. And that was the ordeal, and I'm finally able to just lay down and veg out and watch TV. So that's a goal for the week.
That counts, man. Getting a couch that's awesome.
Yeah, hey Terrance, you're killing it. I ordered a couch locally on October 11th, and it gets here on Tuesday. So,
oh wow,
yeah, that's COVID.
Couch sales skyrocketed when COVID started.
Yeah, COVID's crushing my couch game, man.
Yeah.
So what does one want? What does one do when they're waiting for the couch to arrive? I mean, do you have a lawn chair in your living room? Or?
No, I've got a couch. I've got a couch that I hate, so I sit on that, and I just sit on my couch. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, we bought a futon off Amazon that got here like 2 days, and so like it was all right. But I've been desperately needing this
when we bought our first house, Terrance, this was 6-7 years ago now, and we bought it and we didn't have any furniture to put in it. And so I think for several weeks we were sitting on lawn chairs and like those fold out camp chairs until we got some furniture ordered. It reminded me of being poor college student again, but we got
Those
there.
are the days.
Yeah, the best. So, all right. Well, without further ado, let's get started. So, like we did last month when we did the 80s movies, we're going to do a draft. And Eric has done some really, really high-tech draft savvy draft board. He's going to have that showing up on here as well. But we did add one new category. So last time we had one drama, two action movies, two comedies, one teen or coming of age movie, and then one wild card. This time we have added another movie, which is animated film. So you have a total of 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks. You can pick in any order. You don't have to go drama first or anything like that. Pick whatever you want first. And just make sure you don't pick something that's already been picked. Make sure
or
you
from
pick
a different
something
decade.
that's actually in the 90s. Although Vegas Vacation is now eligible, Cameron, so you can use that one in your back pocket.
I think he has to use that one.
I'm not going to
hold a good
hold
pick
that.
either way. I mean, shoot, that was
It's
just
a solid comedy.
I'm forward thinking. That was the expansion draft.
Yeah, you knew ahead of time we were going to do this.
It's in my top 50 for comedies on this one.
So yeah, that's basically the rules. I will have a loose. You got about a minute and a half to give us your pick and a brief explanation of why. Just because we have extra people and one extra category, we want to try to keep the pace moving on. But I'm not going to be super stringent on that minute and a half. So that's kind of the plan. I think what we need to do.
So is Eric going to declare himself the winner now or later?
Yes,
I'm
might as
curious
well.
how
I don't see why we should wait.
Hey, thanks everybody that said that I won, not in the official poll, because Eric apparently doesn't count anything that's not on Twitter or Instagram. So this time when you say I won, make sure it's in the official poll so that we can get those results counted.
Yeah, I think YouTube comments would be the best place. Let's just centralize it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so we got to get started. So draft order. Cameron, is that you?
Yeah, so a la the NBA draft, I've got, instead of ping pong balls, I got golf balls here. So everybody's name is written on here. I've got 6 different golf balls, and I'm going to swirl this around.
Go grab yours out of the freezer.
Direction.
I was going to say, yeah, did you pull a Knicks there in 1984 and put yours in the freezer?
You know what? Funny story. So before we get into this, Eric recommended that I shut down my freezer first thing this morning, because the integrity of the draft comes first and foremost.
I was wondering why you said that. I didn't understand the backstory of that. I was just like, that seems like a weird thing to do for a draft.
Yeah, so mine would be the cold one had I not shut off my freezer.
Oh.
So, we've lost all the meat and all the, frozen vegetables for the next 2 weeks, but small price to pay. It's fine.
Totally worth it.
Yeah. So, okay. So without further ado, our first drafter of the 90s, dang it, Randy.
Okay. Randy's first.
Randy gets number 1 overall pick.
Which, frankly, I'm really happy about. I think that
should be a bump in your paycheck, is what I hear. So
I agree.
I was hoping for 4th or 5th, but who's counting? Thanks anyway, Cam.
Number 2 is Eric.
Eric, all right.
I can see the wheels in everybody's head turning, like you're going over scenario 6B right now.
I've already burned my 3rd list. Thanks. So
Terrance is our 3rd pick.
I like it.
If I'm last, I'm going to be pissed.
I think that's how it worked for Eric.
Jake is 4th.
All right.
Jeff is 5th, which makes me last. Poetic justice.
Excellent.
That's how it happened last time, Eric. Weren't you the last pick and you were the one that picked?
I was. Yeah, because you get that 6th and 7th together. It helps alleviate some.
Or are you saying that was intentional?
No,
the
it's just
snake
it happened.
pick. Yeah.
Oh, because I picked. Maybe I like that position, but
okay. All right. Well, without further ado, Randy, you are first up on the board. You can lead us off.
Okay.
No pressure.
Well, so I'm not going to talk about the movies that I would pick and say them by name, but I will say the movie that I should take is a drama, but I'm not going to because I feel like my drama board is pretty deep. I've got to take this movie. I don't want to take it first, but I feel like it'll be gone if I don't. My number one pick of the entire draft is going to be The Matrix.
That's a great pick.
Huh.
That's a fantastic pick.
Wait, what category? I'm sorry, what category are you picking that in?
Action.
Okay, thank you.
You know, there are so many really good action movies in the 90s. It is almost the action decade by far. And The Matrix kind of changed everything. You know, it's one of those movies, it's a kind of the first time you saw it, it was, I've never seen anything like it. There's a lot of really cool philosophical stuff involved in the movie. Keanu Reeves wasn't horrible in it, which is great. It was a classic movie. Not really my favorite movie, but groundbreaking, has to be kind of a top 5 90s movies for sure. So that's the first pick.
I think that's a heck of a first pick.
Great pick. Yeah, that was a starred movie for me.
All right. Eric, you are up next.
This is tough. Because one thing is the question: is it quintessential 90s movies, or is it my list of 90s movies that are to me, I guess, consequential? I think I'm gonna have to start with a comedy, just because the other lists are pretty deep. I think I'm going with Office Space.
Ooh,
Office Space.
Anytime that movie's on, like we talked about with the 80s movies, if I see that movie on, and I don't see it on often, but if I get a chance to watch it, I think it just nails the comedy down, especially the dry, deadpan comedy that I tend to appreciate and try to emulate from time to time. So,
well, and it was topical because it was dealing with the switch to the year 2000. That was the whole reason the company existed.
Yeah.
So it was very
kind
90s.
of a precursor of the Office TV show, you know, and I think that's why it did so well, is everybody can relate to that to a certain extent.
In some ways, it was a precursor. And I guess a lot of people, felt like it spoke to what they dealt with on a day-to-day basis. TPS, it was TPS reports, right?
Yes.
That comes up in The Mandalorian. I noticed the other day. He's like, got to get those TPS reports. And I was like, that's awesome.
Did you get the memo?
It means they've been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
In galaxies far
and away.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go next. Terrance, you're up, man. You're on the clock.
Almost in a bind there with those two picks, but I'm going to go drama. And IMDb tells me it's a drama, so I'm going to agree with them. But I'm going to go with Pulp Fiction as a drama.
I saw that it was listed as a drama.
Yeah. And so it's some other places it's marked as a comedy, but I can get behind that it's a drama. But Pulp Fiction is one of those movies that I think it put Samuel L. Jackson on the board too. He was doing some other things before, but this is the one that I first realized, okay, that's a star from that monologue. They speak English and what? That. And so I was like, okay, I got to go with that.
Mm-hmm. That's a great pick. I had that high on another list of mine for the wild card because I didn't know where to put it in drama or action or comedy. So I just threw it in wild card. But I mean, it put Samuel L. Jackson on the board. It resurrected Travolta's career.
I was going to say
it was probably the most popular worldwide, or, most mainstream, if you can say that about a Tarantino film out there, at least in the 90s. It was a really great movie.
What had he done before that? Reservoir Dogs?
He'd done Reservoir Dogs. He wrote True Romance. He wrote Natural Born Killers, but that was his big writing and directing debut.
So here's the question: what was in the briefcase?
Nothing. It's
at
up
the
to
end of the
your
movie.
imagination. I
think
believe.
there was
I
a
believe
light
they said it's
bulb
up
in
to
there.
your. Yeah, and it's up to your imagination about what the MacGuffin is in the briefcase.
Ah.
So.
Right. I'm next. Okay.
Time's up. Sorry.
Time's
Lost
up,
the pick,
Jake. Sorry.
My window's closed.
Great show, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Starting. Okay, so I'm really feeling like I got to get one of my comedies or actions out of the way. Those are my biggest, but I feel like I'm pretty deep. I think what is animated, that's tight end. Toy Story. I'm taking a Toy Story for my animated.
Wow.
So I don't think I need to go too far into depth why. I think it's, if not the best animated movie in the 90s, it set up probably the most successful animated franchise ever, and if not film franchise ever. I think it's one of those movies that changed everything, especially for animated films. I mean, because until then, everything was basically, hand drawn. And this was one of the first, I think, CGI heavy animated films.
Yeah, it was the first that used the 3-dimensional for the entirety of its production.
Yeah.
And what's fun is watching Toy Story through the first one to the fourth and seeing the
how
quality.
Much better it got.
Yeah, it's stunning how much better it got from that first one. But you have to take that first step, right? Without all the detail.
Now,
it's a giant studio too.
Was Pixar its own thing when they made Toy Story and then Disney bought it later? Or did Disney buy Pixar first?
Steve Jobs started Pixar after he had left Apple. So he was involved in I want to say this is, started Pixar. And then that got bought up by Disney later on. And I'm not sure when it got bought by Disney, but it was sometime later, obviously. But
okay. Well, moving on next, we're at Jeff.
All right, Jeff. I think one of the weakest positions in the draft here is teen. And I also have an absolute quintessential 90s movie available. I'm going with American Pie.
Ooh, that's a good one. I thought that one was going to go early.
That's a great pick.
This
Jeff.
is early. I mean, with 8 categories.
Well, I guess I was right.
Yeah. I was talking about this last night with somebody and what an impact American Pie had. The rest of the franchise was not nearly as good, but that first one just knocked it out of the park.
I'm pretty sure American Pie introduced us all to the word MILF. I don't think it was anywhere else before that movie.
So I watched American Pie Friday with my 15-year-old son, Marcus. Not my finest parenting moment, but I did in preparation for this draft. And it is as good Friday as it was the first time I saw it. It's amazing. So Jeff, you honestly just stole one of the best picks in the draft. Congratulations.
And any film with Eugene Levy is a great film. So,
and he's the best part of that movie. Well, one of the best parts of that movie. He is.
Shannon Elizabeth is also a pretty good part of that movie.
She was okay. Yeah. Was okay. If you like that sort of thing.
All right. Great pick, Jeff. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And Cameron hitting us with number 6 and 7. You get 2 in a row, buddy. Did we lose you, Cameron?
Uh-oh. No
Are you
sound,
muted?
Cameron.
I'm counting the clock. I'm not stopping it. I don't.
Just give him Vegas Vacation.
Yeah, Vegas Vacation.
Vegas Vacation.
Classic movie.
So is Cameron like the Cleveland Browns of the draft?
Write it on a piece of paper. Oh, he left.
Oh, Terrance, he just ran him off.
Called him the Browns and he's gone.
he just went to Baltimore. He'll be back.
He's middle of the night. That's it.
All right. Connecting to audio.
I'm on audio.
Camera.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we can.
sir.
Oh, okay.
Got about
You got
20
49
seconds left.
seconds.
My
49
daughter was
seconds.
Yeah.
screaming in the
Tick,
background,
tick, tick,
so
tick.
I had to mute myself. When I was drawing this up, if I were to get the number 1 overall pick, it's still on the board as far as I'm concerned. One of the most quotable movies of all time. I've seen it probably 25 times. Absolutely hilarious.
I type this in before he says it.
Oh,
I think we
Great
all know what he's
pick,
talking
Cameron.
about.
What did he pick?
Dumb and
Dumb and
Dumber.
Dumber.
Yeah,
Dumb and Dumber.
of course.
Yeah, I mean, 1/3 of my relationship with my brother is around that movie. You know, you can just say so many different things, and it just applies to everything.
Which one of you are dumb and which one of you are dumber? You or your brother?
I'm the handsome one. So when it comes
Yeah.
down to the suits and I'm the one in the orange suit.
Yeah, not the blue
Obviously.
suit. Yeah,
Powder blue just doesn't look good on you. So
no,
All right.
not on anybody.
I don't mean to be rushing things, Cameron, but you are now on your second pick.
My second pick.
on the
is running.
clock.
My second pick, when I first watched this movie, it was really a captivating movie to me, and I've seen it since, and it covers a lot of ground. There's a little bit historical things in there. He just lives a great life and kind of stumbles through life and lucks out despite
Jeff's already irritated.
Forrest Gump is my second overall pick.
Probably the best.
Classic, so quotable. Run, Forrest, run. Life is like a box of chocolates. Just the quotability alone is right up there.
Are you going
that a
animated
drama?
here, Cameron?
That's comedy for Dumb and Dumber, and that would be drama
Action.
for Forrest Gump.
Hey, Cameron,
Hey.
just when I think you can't get any dumber, you do something like this. You totally redeem yourself.
You go and redeem yourself.
All right. Great pick, Cameron. Both of those. All right, Jeff, back to you, man.
Yeah, Cameron just, man, he really cut my legs out from under me there. I think the second weakest position in this draft is animated. Toy Story's gone. I'm going to go animated. I'm going Lion King.
That was the other one I had.
Jeremy Irons made that film. Without
Yes.
him, that film is no good.
Yeah, move over, James.
Yeah.
I think the animation made that film because live action, that film was no good. So
Yeah.
Still haven't seen it live action.
Don't.
you didn't miss much. It was not anywhere close to the animated. Animated's an all-timer.
And I think, and kind of alluding to what Eric said, I think Lion King and some other animated films, but this is one of those first animated films where they stock it with like legit Hollywood stars, like Jeremy Irons, James Earl Jones, obviously JTT in his
The
heyday.
kid from Home Improvement, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was just kind of one of those a transition film in that regard too, where animated films became where Hollywood stars went, not just voice actors.
Wasn't Matthew Broderick older Simba?
He
Yep.
is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, James Earl Jones, anything with him in it is
Yeah.
all-time awesome.
That's
No.
a great voice.
All right. All right.
Jake, it's you.
Back to me. God help me. All right. So you took my top drama, Cameron, which makes me want to go to my second top drama. You know what? I think I'm going to do it. Sorry, I'm going to start my clock. Is another Tom Hankser for drama, Apollo 13. So that's where I'm going.
Isn't it amazing how many movies Tom Hanks has in the 90s? Like he's just kills it.
The most you can, if you can comprise the bulk of this list with Tom Hanks movies, you're probably going to do okay.
I kind of wanted to see if I could like make my list, like actually draft like one common thread through all my picks. Like Tom Hanks is in all of them.
Yeah.
Or they're all directed by
Jake, 2 for
Spielberg.
2. Jake
What
is
was
2
that?
for 2.
Yeah.
You're 2 for 2, Hank,
Yeah, there you go.
so far.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that throughout. His
That would have been
comedy was mainly 80s. He did a lot of
That-
stuff in the 80s for comedy, but not
that would
so
have been a
much
prop
90s.
bet, right?
Yeah. Yes. But I think Apollo 13, like every single moment of that movie was exciting. Like it, and I get it because 3 guys on a tiny little capsule trying to get back home safely. But I don't know. It just had all this drama. It had all this tension. It was the historical implications of it. It was awesome. And I'm not usually into dramas. But this one, much like Forrest Gump, captured me. And it's probably one of my favorite movies all time.
And it's even more amazing. You know how it's going to end, and you're still on the edge of your seat.
That's how good Tom Hanks is. All right, my time's up. Terrance, back to you, man.
All right. Well, I'm gonna travel to the comedy world because I feel like those are gonna come off the board pretty soon. Not gonna lie, Jeff, you're really hamstringing me here. But I'm gonna go with it just celebrated its 25th anniversary. Happy Gilmore.
Okay.
Solid pick.
I love that movie. I didn't realize again, also like how good even the secondary characters are, like Shooter McGavin, and just all of his
awesome.
like how many quotable Shooter has, and just like it's great. And then Carl Weathers is in the movie too. It's just like why not?
I hate that Bob Barker.
Bob, the price is wrong, Bob.
Lee Trevino just shaking his head the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably my favorite Adam Sandler comedy movie in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in the 90s was his wheelhouse, but I think that was probably my favorite. I don't know how it did box office wise, but it's up there.
Just a couple of days ago on Instagram videos or something, I saw him hit a golf ball Happy Gilmore style. And he's like, I haven't done this in 25 years. And, you don't see where the ball went, but, it looked good. It was probably middle.
Well, the best thing about the 90s is Adam Sandler made some classic movies. The worst thing is it gave him so much clout that he made horrible movies throughout the 2000s to the 2020s. But the 90s that was his heyday.
Yeah, but right now he's living all of our dreams because he's like, hey, buddy, you want to go make a movie? Like he's just making movies with his friends because he can.
That's what we're doing. It's just not movies. They're just,
Yeah, my production studio isn't as nice.
No.
All right.
We'll get there.
Great pick, Terrance. Eric, you're up, man.
So there's a couple categories I think just don't have the depth. And so to get one of the top picks in my mind is like getting Rob Gronkowski or getting whoever the best kicker is. I don't know who
there
it is,
isn't a best kicker, Eric.
The one who ends up getting the most opportunities to kick field goals. So I think, and I've got a pick, I get 3 more picks until I'm picking again. So I think I'm going animated. This is not a movie I saw until I had kids. And just like in, if you've seen Ted Lasso, when I first saw this film, I kind of wept. I got teary-eyed. And it's The Iron Giant.
Oh, no.
Ooh, good choice.
Such a good movie. And it was one that I had missed. It wasn't a Disney film, so it's not something I saw because I saw mostly Disney films in the 90s as far as animated. But I remember I watched it with my son and he was like 4 and he started crying. And I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, yeah, dude, I get it. This is rough. And, and then the pieces start beeping and coming back together. I'm like, you did it again. So that's a great film.
I thought that was the sleeper of the whole night. I had animated. I thought no one's going to pick that. They're going to just be fighting over the Disney movies and just sweep in with the best animated film of the 90s. So congrats.
What's interesting to me is I have a list of 7 for animated and only 3 are Disney films, which kind of surprised me in the end, but.
Great pick.
Good pick, man. That was a good one.
All right, Randy, you got 2, buddy.
Okay, I was terrified because I felt like this pick was my number one pick out of all of them. I didn't want to pick it first overall. And then I have two coming of age teen movies that I wrote down. American Pie was one of them. So I was out of bullets if this movie got picked, but it didn't. So, all right. The best
Boom.
90s movie coming of age is a movie about high school kids in the 70s, and that is Dazed and Confused. One of my favorite movies of all time. I watch it on probably 50% of the plane flights I'm on. Matthew McConaughey, Ben Affleck, Parker Posey, so many young, awesome actors. It is an all-timer. The lines from that movie, just the way that makes you. I didn't go to high school in the 70s, but I feel like I did watching that movie. It is a classic. So that is probably my favorite movie. I didn't think it was first pick worthy, but I don't want to lose it, so I'm picking that one. So
that one was right at the top of my board for coming of age. That's a great one.
That movie is so well done. I thought it was actually from the 70s because I didn't see it until later in life. And I was like, oh, like this is like, okay, probably. And then I was like, wait, there's Matthew McConaughey. And he's like super young in the movie. And so it's like, okay. And I started doing some research about it. I was like, oh, it's actually shot in the 90s. Never would have guessed.
So fun fact, the guy that directs the movie, his name's Richard Linklater. And he's got another movie came out with a few years ago. It's called Everybody Wants Some. It's about a 1980s baseball team. It is underground. No one's ever heard of it. Go watch it. It's really, really good. It's like Dazed and Confused, same style. It's great. So
I saw it in the theater, baby.
I know you told me to see it. I didn't even know it was a thing. And then it's like, how am I not finding movies that are made by Richard Linklater? But
right,
I did see it. It's great. So all right. So now, gosh,
round 3.
Okay. Man, I've got some really, the problem with dramas is, well, 3 of them are off the board. There's so many good ones. I'm not going to go drama yet. I feel like I have to go action here and just dominate the action demographic with the best 2 movies. The 2 most.
Well, you only get one right now.
Well, I've already picked one. That was The Matrix.
Okay.
So my second one would be, again, so revolutionary, groundbreaking, never seen it before. James Cameron, Terminator 2. Arnold Schwarzenegger at his absolute best. Again, I love Dad Bod podcast so much. I want to be prepared for this. I watched this on the plane from Boise to Phoenix this week, and that just sealed it to me. That was actually my number 2 action movie. It's even watching it today, it doesn't look like the special effects are horrible. It's still, and a lot of what he did before CGI, it was kind of, I had a special effects coffee table book, and it showed like all the crazy groundbreaking stuff that they did with that movie. So 1991 T2 all-timer.
Well, he directed The Abyss prior to that. I remember The Abyss had some of that initial CGI that they kind of took a step further in Terminator 2.
Yeah, and I guess for me, it's like I was in maybe 8th grade when I saw that in the theaters, and the Guns N' Roses, the You Could Be Mine, and the soundtrack to that, it was so cool. Like I remember doing a spoof like in high school of a humanities video with T2, and we were doing a spoof about it. I mean, with the sunglasses and Arnie, and it was such a big deal. That was it's a great movie, and they made several just god awful Terminator sequels since then. But T2 was the best out of all of them.
One of the rare. I think the sequel is better than the original. I thought Terminator was great, but I thought T2 is my favorite. All right, Eric, you're up, man.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get the best kicker off the board here in teen coming of age. Is that the kicker? Doesn't matter.
Sure.
and I have a few that I think are really great, but this one I think captures growing up much like Stand By Me did.
No, don't you do it. Don't you take it.
And it's The Sandlot.
You're killing them, Smalls.
Dang it.
Such a good movie. And I
the greatest pickle of all time.
Totally honest. I'm not into baseball much at all. And that movie just...
It's not about baseball,
no,
man.
I know it's not. But like the idea that it's kind of centered around this group of guys that plays baseball would be something that would turn me off to it. But it's
another James Earl Jones movie, FYI.
It's true.
Oh yeah.
Another James Earl Jones appearance.
The Beast's owner.
Yeah.
Man, it's such
very
a
good
movie.
parallel with Stand By Me. Very good parallel there. You're right.
Yeah, a group of young boys kind of dealing, obviously, with one is a bit darker than the other, but such a fun movie, The Sandlot.
Okay, that's an awesome pick.
Yeah.
Jerk face. All right, Terrance, you're up.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go team too before. I don't have a kicker that can score any points. We're going a little bit of different direction, but this stars the Joker and Robin with the high school in this movie.
Good one.
10 Things I Hate About You. If you get
Such
that
a great
reference.
film.
Love that movie.
Another good
the scene
movie.
when Heath Ledger does the Four Seasons song. That's how I heard that song for the first time. Actually, was in that movie, and I was like, okay, that's a great song. I need to listen to it more. But yeah, I love that movie, and yeah, I don't know.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Julia Stiles, the guy
Gabrielle
from Numbers.
Union is somewhere in that movie.
The guy from Numbers.
I can't remember his name.
Nobody can. That's why it's awesome. Yeah. Good one. So, do you want to? You got 45 seconds, Terrance. You can keep talking.
I don't know what else to say more about that movie though. Like, I mean, yeah, I know it's just a great movie. You haven't seen it. I mean, maybe you should see it now. But other than that, I really don't have much.
No,
I think that was Heath Ledger's first movie or first movie that anyone had seen him in. I mean, wasn't that kind of his coming out?
That was his breakout role. Yeah.
Yeah. He was good.
All right. All right. Then I guess we'll move on to me again.
You.
I'm gonna take action, and I'm a little surprised this hasn't gone yet. Is Jurassic Park.
Great pick.
So that's my top action movie. It might be my top 90s movie. I don't know if it is quite up there, but it's pretty dang close. Kind of like Randy said with Terminator 2 and The Matrix, the Jurassic Park film, the first one at least, was groundbreaking in its own right. The ability to mix CGI with animatronics and make dinosaurs that looked like what we think dinosaurs would look like. It was incredible. The movie itself was great. Another Samuel L. Jackson appearance in there. And I almost think...
Tom Hanks played one of the Raptors, so you're still good with your list.
He's versatile. I also think it was almost like Star Wars in the respect that Star Wars did something in the 70s that nobody had ever seen with film. And Jurassic Park did something in the early 90s, I think 93, that nobody had ever seen with film before. And I think that sets it apart from a lot of other really awesome action movies in the 90s.
Yeah, I coincidentally watched that movie a couple weeks ago, and I was shocked at the CGI and the visuals of it. I mean, it literally looked like out of 20, 30 years later. It was
it still holds up, and which is, I think, a testament to it.
And
it's the first movie where you could just, whatever it was in the director's imagination, you can do. And they were set to make that movie with animatronic giant foam robots, and somebody showed them a much better way.
Yeah. So, okay, that's my first action. It's on to you, Jeff. Your next pick.
All right. Action's getting pretty picked over, and all due respect, everybody's already picked. My two top action movies. One was Jurassic Park, just got taken. My other one is everybody, you see this movie and you're shaken. It really brings a pivotal moment in American history to life. A lot of us know family members who were at something close. You know where I'm going, Eric. Saving Private Ryan, 1998 for action.
That was my second one.
Hey, you know what? The commissioner, you had a violation earlier in the day, so you're going to lose this pick. Commissioner's coming after you. That's such a great pick,
If I cuss at you on the text chain, that doesn't count.
See, I actually had that for drama. But I could see it being an action. But I was about to say with Jake's pick, has Spielberg made a good movie since Jurassic Park? And before I said it, I thought, no, Saving Private Ryan, I don't want to give anyone any ideas. So I telepathically just gave that to you, Jeff. So I apologize, Eric. That's on me. I'm sorry.
I knew it was coming off eventually.
So now we got 4 Tom Hanks movies that have gone off the board.
Yeah. Wow.
The man's a giant.
I remember I saw that film in the theaters, and I forget who I saw it with the first time. I honestly think that was 98?
98, yeah.
98 or 99.
That's right, 98.
I would have been 16, 17, and I asked my mom, I said, let's go to this movie. Will you go with me? I want to see this. That was an experience.
Yeah.
That's one of those movies where nobody says anything in the car for at least 10 minutes after you get back.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it with my Uncle Mike, and he never says anything in the car anyway, but yeah.
It was extra quiet.
Yeah. It was subdued. I'm
up.
Cameron, you're up. You got your next 2 picks, 3 and 4.
Yeah. I think it's time for an animated one. This is probably the thinnest category in the draft. I was really bummed that Lion King is off the board, but as a Michael Jordan fan,
I knew you were going to take Space Jam.
I believe I can fly.
How many basketball movies is Cameron going to have?
Cameron was taking Space Jam.
I had no choice. It's a little bit of animation. It's a little bit of, live action. Michael Jordan,
bit of soul.
The first athlete of that kind to, make that jump into, a non-serious movie.
That's why he's the greatest.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great movie. Great song. Now I feel like I went best available. That was, that's a thin part. I need a comedy. I need another good comedy. And that comedy pick is Home Alone. You watch it every year.
Good pick.
Fantastic movie. You can watch it with kids. You can watch it in mixed company with family. And it's just absolute classic. Very quotable as well.
That was my top comedy movie. You just took it right there. Great pick, man. And the thing about Home Alone, I mean, it's a great Christmas movie, but it just holds up. Like, it's another one of those movies from the 90s. You're like, yeah, I can watch this over and over again, and it's still going to be really, really good.
And you know who's hilarious in that is John Candy. That whole polka, polka, polka. He is hilarious in that scene. And yeah, underrated part of that movie.
He basically did that role as a favor. He got paid like almost nothing for that little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. And I know everybody said this before, but the older I get, I didn't realize it obviously as a kid, but Mr. McAllister was loaded in a house that big, taking that many people to Paris for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, one of those things you don't notice as a kid. It's like, man,
he deserved to get robbed.
There's a whole conspiracy.
There's a whole distribute that wealth.
There's a whole conspiracy on the internet that he's a criminal, that he's working for some underlord.
Yes.
It was the end of the 80s. That movie came out in 1990. It was the end of Reaganomics. I mean, things were so great back then. Everybody had, I mean, that was America great right there. So Kevin's dad had the money to buy that house. Thank you, Ronald Reagan.
All right.
I do have a question for Cameron. Do you think you're going to take your kids to go see or Space Jam 2 at home or however you go see it? Because it's coming out soon.
You know what, Terrance? I could go on a 10-minute rant about that thing, but I'm going to stop myself. LeBron is not worthy of remaking that movie. It should have been Kobe. God bless his soul. And yeah, LeBron is not the guy to do that.
LeBron will ruin Space Jam like the live action Lion King ruined the animated Lion King.
I will be
Mark my
boycotting that movie.
Okay, so Jeff, you're up next before we get too far in the weeds on this.
Can I continue the LeBron rant? No.
You've got a minute. You've got a minute 30. Use it how you will. Go ahead.
All right, I won't go into LeBron. I'm gonna go drama. I had Forrest Gump and one other movie starred as my two top dramas. It's a pretty deep category, but this is a movie that if you're clicking through the channels, which nobody does anymore because everything's streaming, but if you come across this, you got to stop and watch it. It is Shawshank Redemption, 1994. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
it is.
Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, a Stephen King novella, one of many turned into great movies. It's not all monsters and demons and odd Bible references. So he does good stuff. But yeah, I love Shawshank. Everybody.
Andy Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne, yeah.
And I would say it's probably one of the few early Stephen King movies that came out in theaters. I mean, he had a lot of TV movies before that, but I don't know if he had a bunch of other theater releases like Shawshank.
Stand By Me would be the other one.
Oh, yeah, Stand By Me.
He had Pet Sematary, Carrie, The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
Never mind.
There's a lot. He's Firestarter. There's
probably
I just keep thinking of Needful Things and
good one in the 90s is what it might be.
Maybe
Salem's Lot. Yeah, I could go on all day. Anyhow, that's it. Shawshank Redemption.
Great pick, man.
Solid.
All right. Back to me. You know, Cameron, you took my top comedy movie, and I'm going to take what I think is the second best comedy movie of the 90s, which is probably biased because of the star, but it is Tommy Boy. So everything about Chris Farley and David Spade in that movie was incredible. And it's probably one of my favorite movies all time. And Chris Farley being a Wisconsin boy only makes it better. I think it's another one of those few movies that can kind of hold up, but it's got some stars that it's got Dan Aykroyd, Brian Dennehy, obviously Chris Farley, David Spade were in it. Rob Lowe was in it as well when he was kind of in between the Brat Pack era. Yeah, it's just awesome. And it's so much better than I think a lot of Adam Sandler movies. I think it's better than a lot of even other Chris Farley movies. I think it's just the best film he ever had. So
great pick. I love that movie. I love David Spade in there. It's kind of his coming out as well. That's another movie that is highly quotable, really good. It's funny.
Fat guy in a little coat.
Yep.
Don't do it.
All right. Terrance, you're up, man.
All right. So I'm gonna go action here, and this is a movie that chronicles another great day in American history. It's the day that we took back our Independence Day.
Nice.
Really worried he was going to say JFK there.
No, I love this movie. I mean, I think this is the one that cemented Will Smith as the big movie superstar. He was already on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I think this is the movie that took him to another stratosphere, as well as like great effects and then a great cast too. Jeff Goldblum too, as well as his like counterpart too. And saving the world on a 256K computer laptop, with floppy disk, but whatever, but no, I love
could do it.
Yeah, it was a Mac. Yeah. So I love that movie too. Just the way things come together too, as well. And how a man gets to go into space for the first time,
And it's so good because the sequel is so bad, right?
Oh, it's awful. It's terrible.
It makes you appreciate the original that much more.
Yeah. Also, and how can you forget? I forget the actor's name, but the speech that like gives me
Bill
goosebumps.
Pullman.
All the Yeah, it gives
Bill
me
Pullman.
goosebumps every time I hear it. Like, okay, I'm ready to go fight some aliens right now. Let's go.
For America.
Yeah.
That's a great pick. Probably a top 3 pick there. Eric, man, you're up.
This is tough. I think I'm going to have to go action because there's one on the board that is a particular favorite of mine. I honestly can't remember if I originally saw it in the theater or afterwards, because that was around the time where I think I was kind of allowed to go see some PG-13 or R movies in the theater. And it chronicles not a day, but a series of events in the 14th century, and that's Braveheart.
Great pick. Great pick.
It's probably one of those movies that really kind of nudged me towards history, you know? Like to see this series of events play out on screen with this person who is real to an extent. And just kind of the gritty real, the gritty kind of reality of battle. First time I had seen combat like that.
Yeah.
Are you going action or drama? You're going action here?
Yeah,
Eric?
that's action.
All right.
Yeah, no argument here. That was probably going to be my next action pick.
I mean, I have a sword on my wall, and I just kind of want to swing that around sometimes, you know.
Do you
We
put on
all
blue
would have
paint?
guessed that you have a sword on your wall.
Do you put on blue paint on the weekends too, Eric? Half of your face.
Put on what?
Blue paint.
Listen, my personal life really doesn't need to come out too much here, but as
I've
needed.
literally seen Eric with blue paint on his face.
It's
and
factored
in a kilt.
It's factored heavily
That's right.
into Eric's future life choices, Terrance.
That actually happened. Yeah.
And it
awesome.
wasn't a battlefield in England. It was a soccer field in Mesa. So
same thing. 6-1, half a dozen the other, really.
Yep. All right, Randy, you're up, man. You got 2 more picks right now.
All right. Well, I want to go drama, but there's so many good dramas. I almost want to see the chips kind of fall and then see what's left. So I'm going to go comedy. In the 90s, independent films were huge. This is probably the best independent movie of the 90s. It launched the creator of The Mandalorian. It was his first screenplay and starring role. It launched the immortal Vince Vaughn. That is Swingers.
Great movie.
Swingers, to me, I remember seeing it on Mill Avenue at a little independent theater that's, I don't think there anymore. And it was just so
remember that place.
Awesome. I mean, and then for the next 25
You're so
years,
money,
we're talking,
Randy.
You're so money, you don't even know it. You know, it's a great film. And who would have known that Jon Favreau would be probably like top 3 players in Hollywood from that movie, but it's pretty cool to see that going. So yeah,
he's all grown up. He's all grown up.
He's all grown up.
Chef film, amazing.
Yes, it is.
Jon
That's a
Favreau.
great movie.
It was great.
Yeah, good movie.
All right, Randy, that's one. What's your other?
Okay, I'm gonna go comedy again. So the 90s were huge with SNL breakouts. I mean, that was like the decade of like so many Lauren Michael productions, but probably the biggest SNL movie of the 90s, most popular movie, phenomenon, spawned a series of worse and worse photocopy sequels. But the original was so great, and that is Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
That's a good one. I think
$1 million. Dr. Evil, Vern Troyer with Mini-Me, number 2. Austin Powers, probably, that was his most popular. I think he's actually made better movies. There's another 90s movie there that's a good one by him, but this movie was his most popular by far, and it was a huge deal that was kind of watered down with some less than awesome sequels.
Yeah, Will Ferrell was in that too. Yeah, that was a good one. Dang it. I think it was one of the highest grossing comedies too of the 90s. So, all right. Eric, it's back to you then, man.
This is obviously it's all tricky. I think I might have to. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know which one I'm going to go with.
You can pass.
Yeah.
You want to pass?
Can I trade
Auto
for
draft.
cash?
Auto draft. There you go.
You can buy a vowel, I think.
Okay, so I'm going to go with a drama. And this is another one that I think I saw probably shortly into college. And it was a drama where, I'd seen dramas, kind of knew what was going to happen. And I've got a lot of dramas on here that I think are just fantastic. We can hit that in the honorable mention list, but the twists and turns and the final kind of reveal at the end of this film.
10 seconds.
With Gabriel Byrne and the guy who shall not be named is The Usual Suspects.
Nice.
Kaiser Soze.
Yeah, and just a fantastic film. Again, like right at the end, everything turns and you're just that big reveal, and it's like, wow. And every film tries to do that now, right? Like that's too common, but such a good movie.
I've never seen this movie, but because I was getting ready to sit down and watch it with a group of friends, and then somebody walked in the door and goes, "Oh, isn't that the one when he turns and points to the character?" And I look at this person and go, "What did you just say?" I'm like, "Wow." And so I just turned it off. It's like, well, thanks for ruining that movie.
I hope that person is no longer your friend.
No, I don't even remember who this person is anymore, but
good. Yeah.
Because I believe it's Mr. Orange, right? That turns out to be the spy or whatever. Somebody turns out to be the spy in the group or something like that, or cop.
Yeah.
Or no, wait. Yeah.
You're thinking Reservoir Dogs.
You're thinking of Reservoir Dogs.
Sorry, Reservoir Dogs.
No,
Never mind.
This is Kevin Spacey.
When he drops the coffee cup. Never mind. Yeah, different movie.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, never mind.
All right.
Starts.
Good pick. Well, Terrance, you're up, man.
Oh God, that's terrible. No. It's so. I think my comedy list is getting short here, and I'm stuck here between two. The two. Oh man, this is tough. I think I'm gonna go with. It's a Jim Carrey movie, and I don't know. I'm gonna go with Liar Liar.
Ooh.
Out of the two. I love this movie. The claw, the color of the pen is royal blue. Like just so many quotables, things that I shouldn't have been watching as a kid too, especially with the lady in the elevator and he says something about her. But yeah, it's I think one of his funniest movies, I believe, to me at least. It was tough choosing between his movies because again, Jim Carrey did a lot in the 90s as well. He's one of those comedians coming from a different path too, from In Living Color, not the SNL cast as well.
I'd say Liar Liar was probably like the better, more sophisticated comedy of his, where some of the others were just really lowbrow and very physical acting. This one, I just aimed a little higher, I thought. Maybe not as big of a blockbuster, but.
Yeah, definitely an underrated movie.
It's no Vegas Vacation, but it's pretty good.
No, that's true. It's true. Still on the board, by the way. Cameron doesn't take it.
It could have used a few more fart jokes, I'll be honest.
Cameron's going to use Vegas Vacation as this drama. It'll be fine. All right, I think that takes it to me. You know what? I'm going to trust my board. And I'm a little surprised either of these two movies have not been picked yet in coming of age or / teen. And I think I got to trust the board. I'm going to go with Clueless. If you're to pick a 90s movie for coming of age, I think that's right up there. Coming of age teen, especially. There's a lot of good movies out there that deal with teenagers, you know, and all that in the 90s. But I think even Dazed and Confused isn't set in the night, right? It's set in the 70s, as awesome as it is. So I'm going to go with Clueless. It kind of ran rampant in my school life after that movie came out, because every single girl wanted to be just like them. And then what was the book guy's name? I just remember saying, "I'm keeping it real, babe. I'm keeping it real." And so that's what we'd always say whenever we were doing something stupid. And yet, obviously,
wasn't that Paul Rudd's first movie?
Paul Rudd was it. I don't know if it was his first, but it was one of them. And a young Brittany Murphy was in that. And then obviously Alicia Silverstone. And I think Donald Faison. He was the girlfriend. Yeah, or he was the boyfriend that kept saying, "I'm keeping it real, babe." Yeah. So that's mine, Clueless. And if no one's got anything else, Jeff, you are up, man.
Nope. All right, I have not gone comedy yet, and if we go through picking 90s movies and my favorite movie of all time doesn't end up on my list, I don't know what I'll do. I didn't want to come right out of the gate and grab it, but if it's still here, and gosh, what round are we in? We're in the 5th round. I am going to take... It's almost, I don't know if I can quote it on this podcast because it's hard to find 12 words put together with no F-bomb in it, but I'm going Big Lebowski. Yeah. So you know what? The first time I saw it in the theater, I can't even say I liked the movie. And then I saw it again a few years later on HBO or something. And there's real genius in there. And I have seen it way too many times since then. And it's magic. It's affected the way I talk, not just F-bombs, but other things as well. And a love of the Coen brothers movies. So, all right, Big Lebowski.
I can't think of that movie and not think about Jeff Peterson. So we would have had to just scrap the whole thing if you didn't pick this. So thank you.
I'm shocked it waited this long. I thought, honestly, it was going to be like your first or second pick. That's why I didn't, like I said, I didn't even consider it because I knew you were going to take it.
Same here. I kept it off my board.
Peterson's gonna have a meltdown. It was like, it was like last time when if I didn't get Empire Strikes Back, I was gonna be really upset, but I waited. Somehow it hung around, and I don't know how. But all right, Cam, back to back, buddy. Make them count.
Yeah, I'm shocked, and I had to double check the list to make sure that this didn't come off yet. I can't believe that Fight Club is still on the board. So I'm gonna take that for my drama. You could probably use it in a couple different ones, but I'm going to use it in drama.
Wait. I'm throwing a flag. I'm afraid you're going to lose a pick here. You already took a drama, Cam. I don't know what you're doing. You took Forrest Gump as a drama.
You're right.
It's an action movie. There's fight in the name. It's not a drama.
Cameron, you've got your wild card.
Yeah, Cameron, you've got your wild card.
No, I've got an even better wild card.
Do you? Because
so what do you take here? A penalty? Take the triple X again?
You can take loss of down and loss of yardage. Come on, don't do it.
You've got to take it as a wild card.
Technical foul.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it as a wild card.
And not as an action movie, because that's what it is.
Well, if that's what you're saying, that
they're literally fighting in it the whole time.
They're talking more than they're fighting.
No, what's the ruling? Because
I think he can take it as an action or a wild card. He just can't take it as a drama.
Okay, I'll use an action.
Okay,
I'll use an action for it.
Hey, Cameron, I love you. This is so awesome. That couldn't have been better.
All right.
I was really excited about that pick too, and now dang.
It's still a great pick.
That is such a great movie, and the book is really great as well. I've quoted that in an 8th grade graduation speech.
Eric,
by the way,
this isn't greatest 90s books of all time. Okay.
No, I'm just
okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Hey, have you read any other Chuck Palahniuk books? Because that guy is bizarre.
I tried to read one other, and I'm like, nope, not happening.
Yeah.
Just got
when
too
you
weird.
get to the end of that book and you figure out, or the movie, when you figure out what's going on, it's a mind-blowing moment. It's really, really a good movie. It's probably in my top 5 overall movies of any genre all time. So
that's a great film.
Right, man.
Glad
you're on
to
your
get
next
that
pick.
one. My next one is a coming of age. And this is, you know, you don't really think of this as a coming of age. American History X.
Oh, so
at
good.
the end, when the younger brother gets killed, you know, he's the one with all this potential. He's so intelligent, and just a terrible way to end because of his older brother. And me, as an older brother, it just hit different to see that ending like that. So good, great movie.
Yeah, it's awesome. I don't know, and I can see where you're coming from with it, but it's not something I would have expected as a coming of age. But that's a great movie.
I had it on my list as a drama, but it could fit under coming of age.
You know, it's one of those movies,
movie.
like the first time you watch it, and you see that scene where Ed Norton actually commits the crime that happens really before the movie starts. That's the only time you'll ever watch that scene. You will turn your head every other time that comes on the screen. It's too intense.
I made the mistake of watching that before bedtime, and I was up all night. It was just a mess. It is a really, really powerful, emotional movie. And, you know, there's a couple movies on this list already that we've talked about. Saving Private Ryan, American History X. You shouldn't be able to graduate high school without having watched those two movies.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. Jeff, it's up to you, man. You're
all right. Speaking of movies that you shouldn't be able to graduate, I mean, I was already out of high school when this came along. I'm going comedy again. My high school in the 90s, it was all about Ice Cube. He was so great. Anyhow, Friday, it's such a great comedy. I love that movie. I don't know how old he was when he wrote that, but he was young, and that guy's the genius. And it's got, who's the other guy in that? Is that Chris Tucker?
Chris Tucker. Mm-hmm. Bernie Mac's the preacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Chris Tucker role is so great. Big Perm. I call somebody Big Perm at least once a day. So
Ice Cube wrote that movie.
He wrote it with DJ Pooh. That's the one that gets his chain taken in the movie too. Like they both run together.
From Debo?
Yeah.
Debo is terrifying in that movie.
Give me that bike.
Man. Got the
my grandma gave me that chain.
Ooh.
Yeah. Great movie. That was right up on the top of my comedy list too.
Yeah, and comedy's getting a little picked over. There's some other good ones in there. I mean, I won't name anything that hasn't been picked. There's some other solid picks, but I don't know. I love Friday. It's a great movie.
Yeah. All right. Who's that? Oh, me again. Okay. You know, I'm going to go, and this is probably just a homer. I love it as a movie pick. It might not be the best pick to win this competition, but if I don't, I'm going to feel bad. And I'm going to go with Wayne's World as my second comedy.
That was the other Mike Myers movie that I was referencing and didn't want to spoil. Good pick.
Yeah. I remember watching this one in the theater, obviously, and it was so funny to me, and I don't know how old I was, maybe 11 or 12. I wasn't very old, but it was so funny to me. And now as I watch it as an adult, it's even funnier because there's so much stuff I missed as a kid that was geared towards my mom and dad, not towards me. And obviously the Bohemian Rhapsody and the Gremlin is probably one of my favorite scenes in a movie of all time. And so, yeah, it might not be the best comedy movie in the 90s, but it's my favorite, and I wouldn't feel right not putting it on my list somewhere.
Good pick, Jake.
Yeah. All right, Terrance, man, you are up.
It's getting thin here. I think I need to go action movie. This is tough. We have a lot of great 90s action movies, but when I think of like a great action movie, I gotta go with Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise.
Solid.
And Ving Rhames and that theme song. I know it's from the TV show, but it gets stuck in my head every time I hear it, and I love it. And also, who doesn't want to hang from our wires and steal things from the government, right?
Yeah. And it was Fast and the Furious before Fast and the Furious, because there's 137 Mission Impossibles now.
That is very true. And Tom Cruise does his own stunts for some crazy reason.
And before Jason Bourne and a lot of those spy thriller movies, that was the first one in a while that really launched that.
Eric, you are up, sir.
So I have 3 comedies that I'm staring at, and I'm not sure which one to go with. Because one is one that kind of hit right as everything was kind of peaking in high school, and it was there. The other 2 are a bit earlier in the 90s. I think for me, I have to go with Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yes. Great movie.
Carrie Ells.
Dave Chappelle's in that movie.
That's right, he is.
He's a sneeze.
Mm-hmm.
What is he, Hachu?
No, that's his dad.
Oh,
he's a sneeze, isn't he?
I don't remember that.
He is
a sneeze and a chew. Gesundheit. Yeah. Anyway.
Mel Brooks, baby.
And I'm not sure how much of that film you can get away with nowadays, right? Like,
not much.
Such a good movie.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite movies as a kid. And it was one of I don't know how many Mel Brooks movies he made, but I don't know if he made a bunch in the 90s. That might have been one of his last movies that Mel Brooks is really behind the helm of, I think. All right. Randy, you got 2 more.
All right. Well, I think I might be the last person to not take a drama, so I'm going to take this movie. When I Googled 90s movies in preparation, I spent hours preparing for this, by the way. I have done no work at all in like 3 weeks, so the company's doing horrible, but my list is great. This was the #1 movie on one of the lists, so you know it's good. It's a movie that anytime you turn on the television, it's on, you spend 4 hours watching it because of all the commercial breaks, and that is Goodfellas. Absolute classic movie. You know, De Niro, Joe Pesci. What am I, clown? Am I clown? Am I here to amuse you? Ray Liotta. Just absolute all-time mobster movie. Probably the best Scorsese film in my favorite Scorsese film. So that's my pick.
That is an unbelievable value pick for the 6th round to pick up Goodfellas. That's fantastic.
But that's the thing with dramas. There's so many good ones. Like there were 3 that you guys picked that were great that weren't even in my top 7 and should have been. So there's with one drama you could easily gone 2 dramas and it would have been it's a deep draft. So I'm actually going to go drama again for my wild card.
Okay.
That was close.
And it's just got, I'm so tight between there's an action movie that I really want. I'm not going to take it. I hope it goes because it's a travesty if he doesn't, but I've got to pick this movie because it's probably my favorite movie in the 90s. And that is A Few Good Men. Absolute great Colonel Jessup, Who Ordered the Code Red. I love that movie. I could watch that movie 1,000 times. A Few Good Men.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good movie. And one of those movies, another one that holds up, I think. Like you can watch it today and be like, man, this is just a great film.
That Jack Nicholson speech when, you can't handle the truth was one of the all-timers.
You want answers.
Yep. All right. That's brings it back to Eric.
There's so much left on the board, so much left available, but this one, I'm going to use my wild card here. You know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to go with, you know what? No, I'm going to use my wild card, but I'm going to go with something that wasn't on my wild card list. It's an action. So it's my wild card for an action. The Fifth Element.
Great movie.
With Bruce Willis and Mila
Jovovich. Chris Tucker.
And Chris Tucker, who was
in
fantastic in that movie.
I got the fire, man.
Gary Oldman's in that. It's just and to think that story, the writer director of that film had outlined that story when he was like 12 years old.
It was Luc Besson, right?
I think so. Yeah. It's just, just a great story. Something that we really hadn't been to space in a while, and as far as movies like this, and it was just fun.
I always get stuck that's actually Gary Oldman, like, and how dressed up he is and how different he looks. Like, man, like
that guy has range.
Who's the president of Earth?
Debo.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
All right.
Is he the president in Idiocracy? No,
that's Terry Crews.
Yeah, close.
All right, Terrance, you're up, man.
All right, I'm gonna get my animated film out here. I'm surprised this one didn't go off the board, but I guess it's a whole new world, and I'm gonna go with Aladdin.
Ooh.
Can I say, Terrance, I love how you're doing your picks. It's really adding a flair that is making this far more enjoyable.
No, this is my favorite Disney movie of all time, from rags to riches, street rat to the penthouse. I know, it's just something about that movie that always, I love it. And then also the songs too. Prince Ali, Ali Ababa, and then of course A Whole New World is just quintessential Disney songs too as well. And then also, without mentioning those, Robin Williams just as Genie, just giving a performance almost of a lifetime. And don't watch the live action version of this one though either. So
yeah, not great.
Yeah. Will Smith tries to be himself, but it's just not Robin Williams. So
yeah.
No, and that's the problem is Robin Williams set such a high bar. Like nobody was ever going to reach that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Well, and I think in the second Return of Jafar, he wasn't the genie, and that didn't go over well. And then they did a third one, and he came back for it because they're like, yeah, we made a horrible decision in not having you back.
And don't forget Gilbert Gottfried. Any movie with Gilbert Gottfried is amazing.
He was a Iago,
the
right?
Most distinct voice in Hollywood history.
Good call. Okay. Yeah, I was shocked. I thought Aladdin would go off much, much sooner. Especially once Toy Story and Lion King went off. I thought for sure that would be the next one. Back to me, it looks like. So let's get started. Eric, you stole my wild card. So I'm a little miffed. Fifth Element was, when I think of wild card, there's nothing more wild than that movie. So that puts me in a bit of a pickle. I'm confident enough from the rest of my action movies that I don't think they're all going to get picked. So I'm going to pick another wild card movie that I have. And it's actually a sports movie. And it is probably, I'm not really into sports movies, but this one I think is just a great film, and that's Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino,
Jamie
Foxx, and Dennis Quaid,
mm-hmm.
and Cameron Diaz as the owner, and James Woods before he went wild on Twitter. So I just think it's a great sports movie, but it's just an awesome movie. And anything with Pacino in it is really exciting.
What category was that in, Jake?
That's my wild card.
That is a great pick. That was going to be one of my themes that I was going to go with until I watched last week's episode and I saw how great Jeff was at this. And I was like, okay, I can't just have a a driving theme at this because I was going to go all 1999 movies like that year. It's just stacked with great movies.
Yeah.
And Any Given Sunday was one of those movies.
Yeah. I'm Willie Beeman. I mean, it's just a great movie. All right. I can't say the rest because it gets really inappropriate, but
quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, to you, man.
Yep. All right. I'm definitely going wild card. I had this movie in my drama section. At a point in your life when you become an adult, you can go see a scary movie and it doesn't really bother you. Scary movies just aren't scary because you know what's going on. Except I saw this movie. It was insanely upsetting. I got home that night. I turned off the light to go to bed. I turned the light right back on. I was still drinking back then. I grabbed a beer. I was really shaken by this movie. So it's David Fincher, arguably at his finest. This is a great wild card movie. If you haven't seen it, you might want to not watch it because it's that upsetting. So I think we all know I'm talking about Seven. It's a great movie and it'll wreck your day. And it is really, it's filmmaking at its finest.
Oh man, I am the opposite. I love watching that movie, even though I know how it's going to end every time. I love that movie. It is a great movie.
And I've seen it many times since then, but that first time that I saw it, man, that movie is just raw and jarring and upsetting. And you got Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, and it's so good. And Kevin Spacey, say what you will about him, but he didn't want his name on the movie poster. So, I mean, this is really before the internet was up and running like it is now. Nobody knew Kevin Spacey was in the movie. He wasn't the big star then, but he was on the map. And so he shows up out of nowhere. Anyhow, that movie's heavy. So I'm going.
I remember
wild card.
Even before I saw that film, somebody explained one of the scenes to me, and it was so upsetting I had trouble sleeping. Like they just said, "This is what they found," and I'm like, "That's terrifying." Thanks, I'm not going to sleep.
Yeah, the movie's super intense, man. It's a great movie for all the wrong reasons.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
And isn't that Gwyneth Paltrow who's in the box, right? Yeah.
But you never see it. Never see what's in the box.
I think I remember hearing like if you freeze it at just the right moment, you get to see a one frame.
It's a still shot of just her face, not of anything in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a one frame shot of her face.
Yeah. Okay. Cameron, you've got your last two. Or last.
Hey Cam, just in an effort to get you through this unscathed, you need one action and one wild card. Come on.
Got it. Thanks, buddy.
Did he use it? Right, no. Fight Club was an action, right?
Fight
so
Club
my
was his first
action movie, and I was bummed that Any Given Sunday got picked because that was going to be my next one. But Tombstone. Tombstone is my action movie.
Yes. If that movie didn't get picked, we'd have to redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Solid movie. Val Kilmer is such a badass in that movie. He's suffering from all sorts of things, drinks himself, just stupid, and then goes out in a gunfight. Just a cool way to go down for sure. But yeah, it's historical. I used to teach Arizona history in fourth grade, and that was.
And you showed this?
Yeah. He actually made the kids reenact it. All the kids he didn't like were the Clantons. It was
we went through a lot of catch up on that lesson. Yeah, so that's my last action. In my wild card, I kind of feel apologetic about this. It should be on the list. It's an all-time blockbuster movie. We all saw it, and then we pretended like we didn't like it. Titanic.
It's shocking that it took this long.
Yeah.
The top grossing movie of the 90s.
Yeah.
Of all time until
round. Yeah. Not anymore. Avengers Endgame. took it.
Well, but of the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, of the 90s, yes.
But yeah, there's just no reason that shouldn't be on the board in one shape or form. And I was kind of waiting for somebody else to take it so that I didn't have to act like I enjoyed the movie, but I enjoyed the movie.
Well, it's where it belongs, at the bottom.
I have a confession.
Oh, but
topical.
Nice.
I have a confession though. I've never seen Titanic.
Really?
Here.
It came in 2 VHSs, and I was like, "That's too long of a movie. I'm never watching it."
I think it's like a 3.5 hour movie, something like that. Just ridiculous amount of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I'm shocked it took this long. I had not seen it myself, but I assumed that the rest of you guys did and would have picked it earlier because of it's the biggest movie of the decade.
And another one of those movies that you know how it's going to end and you're still into it and you're still excited up to the very end. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Cameron, Tombstone was a great pick. Congratulations.
So basically I'm the leader in the clubhouse now. So I'll just put myself on mute and see who else is playing for second place.
That's
all right,
pretty
Space
bold.
Jam.
Okay. All right. Jeff, you're up, man.
Yeah, I will admit that I'm wishing I had taken Tombstone and not 7, because 7 would have been there, because Cameron wouldn't have taken that. He would have stuck with Titanic, and he probably would have, I don't know, gone Groundhog Day or something like that. Not
That
a
was
bad
on
movie.
my list.
Anyhow, so all I've got left is action. I really wanted Tombstone, and I really don't know what to pick. But in the interest of time, my head is telling me to take one, but my heart is telling me to take another one. I love this movie. We all love this movie. It's Point Break.
You gotta go down, Bodie.
Bodie, I'm an agent for the FBI.
People die, Bodie.
It is peak Keanu Reeves before he realized that he had a whole other life in John Wick. And Keanu Reeves, come to find out, is a wonderful man. And I have badmouthed him for years as being Hollywood's worst acting leading man. But I love this movie. It's got Patrick Swayze. It's great. So my last pick, action, I'm going Point Break.
I mean, I can't argue with that. That's a great pick. Did not see it coming, though. I didn't have that on my list. I don't know about the rest of you. I did not have that one on my list. But now that I hear it, I'm like, yeah, that should have been up there.
Well, there's one more action left to be taken, but I'm curious to see what you take, because it's almost certainly another one that's on my list here.
Okay. Well, it's me. And so I got to close out with action. And after the heavy hitters that went early, I think everything else just kind of fell into a similar group for me. And I would say that they're actually similar movies in some regard. I could probably pick any one of them and they'd be a good pick. You know what? I'm going to go with Rush Hour. Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan. And even if I don't win, this will make my wife extremely happy that I picked this one, because it's probably one of
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Chris Tucker might be on our list more than Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he is killing it tonight.
But it's funny because it's always as the second guy. He's never the lead, but he makes every movie better because he's in it.
Was
Hey,
Jackie
sure you
Chan
don't
the
wanna go
first guy in that movie?
What?
Yeah.
Jackie Chan was the first guy and Chris Tucker was the second?
He was top
I believe
billed.
so. I believe he was, because Jackie Chan has started making his American debut with his like kung fu movies. And so like there's Big Trouble, not Big Trouble, I forget what it was. Rumble in the Bronx is the
Rumble
big
in the Bronx, yeah.
This is like first big one in the States. And then I think from there it's like, okay, let's get on this Jackie Chan experience. And then Rush Hour was just like this perfect combination.
Well, and talk about doing your own stunts. I mean, say what you will about Tom Cruise. Rumble in the Bronx is unbelievable for a man doing his own stunts. He jumps from one floor to another, from one building to another. That is some kind of scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Jake, you sure you don't want to go Deep Impact? You can. We'll give you a redo.
No, I don't, because I didn't like that movie. So I got to pick a movie I enjoy, and Deep Impact.
It's the lesser Armageddon, and Armageddon was still on the board. That's actually what I thought you were going to take, was Armageddon.
You know what? So. I thought about Armageddon, and anybody else? I mean, I guess Eric or Randy can take it, or Terrance. But I, as far as like pure enjoyment, if I turned Rush Hour on today, I would be laughing and loving every minute of it. I don't know if I could say the same about Armageddon.
Yeah, I only brought it up because Action's closed out. I guess I shouldn't have, because there's some wild cards. But anyhow, I'll shut my mouth. Carry on.
Then it goes to Terrance. You're up, man. Your last pick.
All right, so I think it's my wild card pick. I'm going to go with something a little bit different here. It's a musical, and it's hard.
Get out.
It's about 4 boys and censorship. It is South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Love this movie. I probably shouldn't have saw it at the age that I saw at 12 years old or 13 years old. But when we talk about truly wild, I think this movie makes it. I don't know what musical you thought I had in mind, but it was probably not that.
No.
Best musical of the 90s right there.
Yeah.
And it lost the Oscar. Thanks a lot, Phil Collins.
Yes, it did. But yeah, another movie that came out in 1999 as well.
Yeah.
Damn Baldwins.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing about being a Baldwin? Nothing.
I remember watching that movie with my buddy John in high school, and we watched it because it was as bad as you could be as far as going to a movie in high school, because the constant swearing, Saddam Hussein, and I can't keep discussing it, but you felt like you were almost committing a crime by watching that movie, and that feeling was a high that I'll never ever reach again.
Is Team America World Police, was that in the 90s also?
I think it's after
that.
I think it's
early
2000, 2001 or 2002.
Because that movie is insanely raunchy as well. That's in the same category. If there's a pure raunch category, those are the only 2 movies to even consider.
Yeah. That's a great wild card pick.
Agreed.
Eric, man, your last pick.
So I think I have an action left, correct? Because I used my wild
Negative.
card in the Fifth Element.
Oh, that was your. Then yes, you do. I'm sorry, I had Fifth Element down as an action.
It's tricky because there's a couple cult classic action that I love, but then there's just some solid ones. So I think I have to go with a solid one here. May he rest in peace. Well, I can't say that if I can't remember the name. But
gone too soon, huh?
Yeah, gone too soon. The fact that his name is escaping me is really irritating me at this point. Sean Connery, action flick with Nicolas Cage, The Rock.
The Rock.
The Rock.
Such a fun movie. Yeah, just classic 90s action. You had the car chase through San Francisco. You've got explosions all over Alcatraz Island. Can't get better than that.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's a fun movie, man. Jerry Bruckheimer. That's right around when he purchased Nick Cage's soul somehow and
more explosions.
Owned that man.
More explosions.
Yeah.
Everything that you want in a Nick Cage movie.
It really was peak Cage.
Why am I not in that movie?
Ed Harris was in that, right? He was the bad guy.
Yeah.
That was a good movie. Gosh, now I'm going to go watch it. Randy, you started us off and you're finishing. Last pick, man.
When I did these 2-hour-long mock drafts over and over to prepare for this, I had myself just closing out with Iron Giant to just take it. But Eric ruined that like an hour ago with a just solid pick. So fortunately, there are some good animateds left. The movie I'm not going to pick, but I want to, is Anastasia. That's actually one of my favorite movies because I remember seeing it with my grandma in the movie theaters. And I like that movie, but I'm not going to go with that. I think that I also want to pick Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which is one of the best Batman movies, but I'm not going to pick that because I think what the public wants, what Dad Bod's thousands of fans want, is for me to make the right choice here and to pick Beauty and the Beast. That is interchangeable with Aladdin for me. They're both really, really great movies. And it's the only animated to action movie, live action movie of this list that wasn't garbage. It actually was a really good live action movie. I agree.
Movie. Agreed. Yeah.
Great movie. That is the last pick of the draft.
And on that note, with our thousands of watchers, our subscriber watch, we're at 70. So
climbing up.
Well, they watch, but they don't want to commit. Like, they don't want to be subscribed because that's like, you know.
If they commit, they get a rifle, right? A diamond ring and a rifle.
From Cameron.
So I as well commit.
Can we do what's the best movie that wasn't picked on your guys' lists?
Boondock
just
Saints.
One?
Boondock Saints was on mine.
That was a 90s
Schindler's
movie.
List, Natural Born Killers, Casino, Ace Ventura.
The Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs.
Groundhog Day. There's Something About Mary. Rounders.
The Boys in the Hood.
Jerry Maguire.
Galaxy Quest.
Hey, what about My Girl?
I was shocked it didn't go. I honestly thought that was at the top of my coming of age teen list, only right below
Cool Runnings
and Confused.
Cool Runnings, that's right.
The Mask.
Boys in the Hood.
Ace Ventura. Yep. Boys in the Hood.
Heat.
Is good.
Hook.
I'm surprised that you guys said it. Maybe you guys are a little bit too older, but a Goofy movie is like a quintessential animated movie, and it did not go off the list.
Blade.
Blade, really?
Yep.
Yeah,
First Blade.
Billy
98.
Madison.
I was shocked Jeff or Randy didn't pick Clerks. I thought as far as coming of age teen or comedy.
I'm not a big Clerks fan. I'm surprised Randy didn't take it too. That's one I would have penciled in. Definitely for him. Swingers, you were taking all day long. I would have said the same thing about Clerks.
Mallrats. I would have taken Mallrats over Clerks, but
I think Mallrats is actually a better movie, but I think Clerks is a little bit more iconic.
Speed,
Empire
with Keanu
Records.
Reeves.
Speed. I forgot about that.
Goldeneye.
Nobody picked Pet Detective.
No.
Ace Ventura, I know.
I almost picked it between Liar Liar and Ace Ventura, and maybe picked it. So
Eric, I thought you were going to take JFK. Or
I had that on my list. You know,
and then I can't tell
to one drama. It's tough.
I can't tell if Galaxy Quest is a great movie or if I just love it.
You know what? I watched it again. So I watched it again a couple months ago. Rainn Wilson is in it. Dwight Schrute. I forgot about that.
He's one of the aliens, right?
Yeah, Tony Shalhoub. Yeah. And it holds up. I mean,
it's really good.
The technology is not as good. I mean, it looks cheesy, but it's still hysterical. It's still.
I love the way the one guy, I forget his name, the guy who's got the prosthetic thing on his head, and it's just deteriorating as the movie goes on. So funny.
And Tony Shalhoub's like, "Hey, there's something going on over here," and it's just
there's this thing. We gotta do this thing.
Isn't Alan Rickman in that movie?
Alan Rickman.
Yeah,
Late
great Alan Rickman.
Sigourney Weaver. When I learned that she could be something other than Ripley, I'm like, oh wow, she's actually really funny in this.
Sam
I have
Rockwell's
one job on this ship.
Yeah. What's that?
I have one job on this ship, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to say, Galaxy Quest is one of those movies where it's not on the top of any of my lists, but it's in wild card, it's in comedy, and it's in action. It's one of those like utility players. It could kind of fit in anywhere, but that's why I don't think it got picked.
I wanted to take Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, only because I had also taken Robin Hood, Men in Tights. I felt like that would have been good.
That would be the only reason to take Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
I love Prince of Thieves. That was a great film. I enjoyed it so much.
I liked it too. Don't feel bad, Eric.
if you're watching WandaVision at all, which is the most popular downloaded show, I was thinking about the Truman Show, which is almost like the manufactured version of WandaVision. And there's so many good movies that just wouldn't make the list on the actual best movies. But yeah, I was worried about, man, there's a lot of people. Are all the good movies going to be gone? We could have had 12 people and still had great lists. So 90s were the best with movies.
I thought Cameron was going to pick Truman Show because I think you had mentioned it previously, Cameron.
Yeah, I watched it a couple years or weeks ago, and that was the first I'd ever seen it, and it was really cool. I'd never seen a movie like that before. So yeah, I came very close to picking that on my wild card, but Titanic was there. Couldn't not take Titanic.
Yeah.
Well, you can't go back, so just gonna have to live with it.
Hey, Cameron, I'll tell you this: you did a lot better than the '80s, man. You've got a solid list there.
This was my wheelhouse, man. I was 7 to 17 in the '90s.
I'll say this as well. Or go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was just going to commend Cameron for being able to make all of his picks this time. So, it was close.
He needed some help, but we got there.
And I did twice the research in the 80s that I did in the 90s, but I'm really happy with my picks. Like I said,
muscle memory.
I had the first two picks, I literally would have taken Dumb and Dumber and Forrest Gump as my 1 and 2. So
if only you worked in an industry where you use a tracker of some sort, that would have helped.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
As I look at each of these lists, I could sit down and watch each set of 8 movies without a problem. Like there's nothing on.
And that's what I was thinking as this was going along. I think in the 80s, when we did the 80s, it was pretty clear that Jeff was in a league of his own, so to speak. League of Our Own, another great 90s movie. Anyway,
there you go.
But
Tom
I
Hanks.
think here, Tom Hanks, he can do it all, baby. I think here, like you said, Eric, every single one of these lists, I can't pick a clear winner on my own. Like, I think I have a great list, but so does everyone else. And I think that's really cool, the parity that we all have.
And speaking for myself too, I've seen almost all of these movies, whereas in the 80s, I had to just kind of nod along to not upset Jeff that I haven't seen that movie. So
yeah.
I think my high school diploma is in jeopardy because I've never seen American History X because of the curb stomp scene. Like I did not want to see it. So like I've never. Yeah.
Terrance, I've never seen it either.
Yeah.
Once I heard about the curb, I'm out. And plus the whole what I had in my head what the movie was about, like I don't want to see it. So
it's really good. Just don't watch the curb stomp scene. The rest of it is awesome. It's a great movie.
I almost tried swinging Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a teenage coming of age movie as well. I was like, maybe not.
I had it on my list.
It's in the title.
Yeah, it's in the title. I know.
I had Varsity Blues for one of my teenage coming of age movies too. That was on my list. That's a guilty pleasure.
But I had that one below Mighty Ducks. I felt like Mighty Ducks was the better film over Varsity Blues. But
Mighty Ducks 2 was better than the original. That's when they played Iceland.
They had to go play Iceland. That was a tough movie. That was hard.
It's patriotic.
It messed up the flying V. All right. So, all right.
Before we go, Jake, what was the musical that you thought I was gonna pick? I'm curious, very curious.
I was just anti-musical. It's not anything specifically.
Okay. So you just hate the genre.
I just didn't want to hear about it, and so. But then you hit me with South Park, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was actually a really good movie. So anyway, nothing specific, man. But thank you, everybody. Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Terrance, for joining us this week. It was really awesome having both of you guys on. Definitely made the show a lot more competitive, and it was really entertaining. So, and then thank you, everyone who watched. And again, this is Jake with Dad Bod History. We got Eric, Cameron, Jeff on, and we'll see you all next week. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, and hit that notification bell.